When you move down the road towards the mastery of the martial arts, and you are constantly moving down that road, you end up coming up against these barriers inside yourself that will attempt to stop you from continuing to pursue the mastery of the martial arts. And these barriers are such things as when you come up against your own limitations, when you come up against the limitations of your will, your ability, your natural ability, your courage, how you deal with success and failure as well, for that matter. And as you overcome each one of these barriers, you end up learning something about yourself.
A little less than a year ago, I was hospitalized for clots in my heart, my lungs, my leg, and I was in the hospital for weeks. The recovery took months, and it was an experience that I learned just so much through.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Save for More. I'm Luke Goodish, as always. Today is my follow-up on my video about Brandon Lee. I didn't get everything I needed to say out in that one video. That wasn't going to be possible. Plus, this video has a little bit of a different tone. It's a shift in the conversation. Last time the video was called The Philosophy of Brandon Lee, You Don't Have Forever, and I put the thumbnail, Becoming You. This is going to be either the fight for you or the fight for more. And again, this is a deeply personal video, a video that means a lot to me and that I hope you stick around for the entirety of. I do think that this video has a chance at opening your heart and your mind to some possibilities, and it might change things for you. So the first thing I want to start with is an anecdotal story to represent the power and the truth in that quote that I started the video with. The quote Brandon Lee gave about martial arts being a search for something within. Training and fitness, for me, moved away from just aesthetics and trying to look good and getting abs and becoming someone who just was appealing to look at. I have an Instagram post on this. It was one of my most controversial. It got so many comments and people arguing about different things with me. But I do believe that our fitness industry is a little bit skewed. It's away from that perception of fitness being actually about health and fitness. It's more about aesthetics and looks. We're selling supplements that are horrible for you, and we're showing you photoshopped people that just aren't reality. A lot of people's goals, including mine for a long time, were about simply looking good. But that goes against what fitness is all about. That goes against the philosophy of Brandon Lee and fitness, which was a search for something within, a fight against your barriers, a discovery of who you are. Brandon Lee talked about how he never wanted to get just bulky or beefy or have big muscles. It wasn't to him about lifting big objects. It was more so about pushing yourself to the limit and developing down this road of mastery simply for the reason of discovering your best self, pulling back the layers of your insecurity, pulling back the layers of self-doubt and weakness and that voice that whispers for you to just settle in this life. I want you to listen to this quote from the Bruce Lee podcast. It comes from an episode all about Brandon Lee, and let's talk about this quote afterwards.
I mean, it's kind of this how we all feel at some point in our lives when we are trying to birth who we actually are and having all the forces of the world against us. And it's so relatable. It's kind of birth of an artist, you know? So I understand, you know, it is dark subject matter.
That idea of birthing yourself when all of the world's forces are against you. This is what connects it to that last video where, you know, really, if you haven't seen that one, you got to go back and watch that one first. I talked all about the idea of Brandon trying to define himself and you trying to define yourself against what the world's trying to tell you to be, against what you even yourself tell yourself you have to be. But in this video, I want to discuss the role of fitness in this development of the self, in this journey to self-mastery. To start this story off, I have to talk about the synchronicity involved. The day that this happened, the day that this anecdote took place, I made that Instagram post with that quote from Brandon Lee. It was at the forefront of my mind, this idea that fitness is more and martial arts are more than just a physical discipline. They are all about what's inside. It's all about carving away the weakness and the superficial and digging out who you are at the soul of things, who you are at the core as a man, as a woman. Who are you? And so I get to talking to one of the trainers there, and we're talking about this one kid who's just so impressive, right? He's just hitting the bag so hard. He's unstoppable round after round, doesn't need breaks, nothing. He's a machine. And we're talking about how I'm trying to develop that cardio myself. I'm trying to build my cardio back up. I'm trying not only to get to the best shape I've ever been in, but I'm trying to get the leanest I've ever been, and I'm trying to get the most cardio and the most endurance and the most health in that respect. And so we're going over some of the things he does and some of the different cardiovascular exercises, some of the big circuits and routines that I can try. And I do. During that workout, I push things a little harder. I don't take breaks in between the rounds anymore, and I'm doing circuit training, doing some kind of exercise as the 1 minute timer between rounds plays out. I mean, I'm pushing myself harder than I've pushed myself in a long, long time, if ever. Especially when the 30-second timer is going off, the trainer there has me putting 100% output as fast, as hard, and as many punches as I can possibly get out in those 30 seconds. I have to get out. But then when it's done, it's not done. It's active rest time. You're doing squats, you're doing sit-ups, you're doing something. You're doing step-ups or jumps. It's crazy. And I'm pushing myself, and I'm getting that tunnel vision, that narrowing of the sight that happens where you're looking through a pinhole and you can hear your own breath and you hear your heartbeat in your ears. And I'm feeling like waves underneath me, like I'm on the ocean. I'm feeling wobbly. I'm feeling like I can't push myself any further. And he says something to me that just changes everything. He says these words to me, and they come just like a freight train and knock me down. They knock the wind out of me even further, and they have me standing there breathless, just thinking. And he says to me, "You are not in as bad a shape as you think you are." He said, "It is in your head. You have a fear of death, and that is what is holding you back." And the very first thing to come to my mind was that Brandon Lee quote: "The martial arts are about a search for something within, not just a physical discipline." This moment was a manifestation of that. It was a tangible example of exactly what Brandon Lee was talking about. Because my trainer at that boxing gym, he was right. He is right. I push myself this much, maybe this much sometimes, and I'm always pushing up against this boundary and this limit that I have in my head. That quote Brandon Lee has of you running up against your own barriers, your limitations, your own physical limitations. He removed one of those barriers for me. I had this idea opened up for me, this barrier knocked down that I could then trample over. Since then, I have been trying to prove to myself that I am not as in a bad a shape as I thought I was. That I am afraid of death, and that is what is holding me back. One of the days this week, I did a 25-minute round, no rests. And every single time I go to the boxing gym now, I'm not resting between my shadow boxing rounds, and I am doing a circuit training and doing some type of active rest with exercise in between every heavy bag round, ending the last 30 seconds with 100% maximum output. I am pushing myself further than I thought possible. We all need to start thinking about the barriers that are standing before us. What personal barrier are you up against right now? Because I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that you are not where you want to be. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to make a guess that you wish that there was something more in your life that you could have or be. This channel is called Saved for More. The first tattoo I ever got. You have been saved for more. I have been saved for more. There is this more within us that we have to constantly strive for. And in that striving, we are going to hit these barriers, these problems within us, these limiting beliefs, these fears, these doubts, the pain, the loss, whatever it may be. You are up against it right now, and it is holding you the hell back. So why don't you push through? Why don't you find that best version of yourself? Let me tell you, it is possible. It might not be easy. Life may have you down at square one. You may be poor, heartbroken, unemployed, unmarketable, maybe, everything. Every card is stacked against you. The barrier is 1,000 feet high. I'm telling you, it is possible. Martial arts can give you the belief in yourself to know that despite all that, despite the height of that damn barrier, you, You alone have the power to knock it down. Sometimes that barrier comes like the end of a cliff. You don't see it coming at all, and then boom, you are on your back. Those moments hurt. The heartbreak of those times life sits you down and shows you that you can so easily lose everything. When you are reminded that defeat is always around the corner. But man is not made for defeat. A man can be destroyed but not defeated. That's a quote from Ernest Hemingway. I don't have many images from this time, but this is one I do have, and it's one that speaks to me because this is a moment that life tried to destroy me, and I remember it. I can see it in me in this picture. All my physical health was stripped. I could barely walk. There was a point where I couldn't walk. All I could do is lay in this stupid bed, growing smaller and weaker by the day, losing all of the hard work that I put into my body and my fitness and my health. But you can see the heart of Hemingway's quote here in the picture as I hold a protein shake. I was not going to be defeated. Destroyed maybe, but never defeated. So I started to fight back. In this moment, I began my fight back. This video was taken a month after my release from the hospital. It was the first time I got up to shadow box. Obviously not much movement, my legs were still stiff from the clots, but I was there fighting back. Scrawny, but fighting back. Slow and persistent, I just moved forward. At first it was getting out of bed, walking again, then moving, boxing, and then gaining weight, working out, trying to fight my way back to where I was. Day by day, I stood and faced my dragon. It was day after day of refusing to settle, refusing to stay down. I fought, and I fought, and I refused to give up. It was here on these quiet mornings, alone with my martial art of boxing, alone with my fight, that I learned who I was. It was through this adversity that I taught myself my character.